7 rules you must follow if you stay at the Devil's Motel.
Part 1. The Arrival. I should have turned back the moment my GPS lost signal. The sun was sinking into the desert horizon, painting the sky a sickly orange as I drove down an unmarked dirt road somewhere in Nevada. I was chasing a story. The kind of story my YouTube subscribers craved. Abandoned places, urban legends, cursed motels. I'd heard rumors about the Devil's Motel. No address, no official listing. Just word-of-mouth tales on obscure horror forums about people who stayed there and were never seen again. Naturally, I had to find it. By the time I spotted the flickering neon sign reading vacancy in faded blood-red letters, my nerves were already shot. The motel was a rundown, single-story row of rooms, their windows cloaked in dusty curtains. An ancient, rust-covered bell above the office door chimed as I stepped inside. The air smelled of mildew and something metallic. A man stood behind the counter, thin, gray-skinned, with deep-set eyes like bottomless pits. He wore a name tag that simply read, Edgar. "You sure you want to stay here, son?" he rasped, voice like dry leaves. I managed a nervous laugh. "I'm documenting haunted places for my channel. Heard this was one of them." Edgar didn't blink. He reached under the counter and slid a yellowed piece of paper toward me. The title was written in crooked, faded ink. Rules for Staying at the Devil's Motel. I frowned and picked it up. 7 rules, typed on a typewriter decades ago. My blood ran cold as I read. 1. Never check in after 11:59 p.m. 2. Don't accept room 6 if offered. 3. Cover the room's mirror with a blanket before midnight. 4. Never leave your room between 3 a.m. and 3:33 a.m. 5. Do not answer the phone if it rings more than 3 times. 6. Leave a glass of water outside your door before sleeping. 7. No matter what you hear, don't look under the bed. "Are you serious with this?" I asked, half joking. Edgar's face didn't change. He handed me a key with the number 3 engraved on it. "Most don't come back, son," he muttered. "Keep the rules." I swallowed hard, took the key, and stepped back outside. The wind howled through the dead shrubs. Something about the place felt wrong in my bones. But the thrill of the unknown pulled me forward. Room 3 smelled like stale cigarettes and old wood. A single cracked mirror hung on the wall. The faded wallpaper was peeling, revealing splinters beneath. I reread the rules again, my heart pounding a little faster. Was this just some elaborate prank, a way to hype up the legend? Or was there something truly sinister lurking in this godforsaken place? I didn't know it yet, but by sunrise, I'd be fighting for my life. Part 2. The First Mistake. As I tossed my backpack onto the sagging bed, a shrill ring pierced the room, the old rotary phone on the nightstand. I stared at it, remembering rule number 5. Do not answer the phone if it rings more than 3 times. 1 ring. 2. 3. I reached for it, but it stopped. An icy chill ran down my spine. Maybe just a prank line connected to the front desk. I decided to distract myself by recording some B-roll footage. I filmed the cracked ceiling, the moldy carpet, the discolored mirror still uncovered. That's when I glanced at my watch. 12:06 a.m. My stomach dropped. I'd broken rule number 1. Never check in after 11:59 p.m. I hadn't even thought about the time when Edgar gave me the key. The motel office didn't have a clock, and my phone lost service hours ago. A knock came at the door. 3 sharp raps. Then silence. I wasn't supposed to open it between 3 a.m. and 3:33 a.m., but it wasn't that late yet, right? Against my better judgment, I tiptoed to the peephole. No one was there. Another knock. Then, a voice hoarse, barely human. Room 6. I shivered. Rule number 2 flashed through my head. Don't accept room 6 if offered. But I hadn't, had I? I turned away, heart hammering. I needed to cover the mirror before midnight wait. Midnight had already passed. 2 broken rules, and something told me the motel wouldn't forgive mistakes. The phone rang again, 4 times. I yanked the cord from the wall. The light bulb overhead flickered. Shadows in the corners of the room stretched and warped. Something moved under the bed, the faint scrape of fingernails on wood. Rule number 7. No matter what you hear, don't look under the bed. I forced myself to look away, grabbed a threadbare blanket from the closet, and threw it over the mirror. My reflection lingered half a second, too long before vanishing behind the fabric. The knocking started again, louder now. I checked my watch. 3:01 a.m. Oh no. I wasn't supposed to leave the room between 3 o'clock and 3:33. And the thing outside was getting more aggressive. That's when the doorknob started to turn. Part 3. The thing behind the door. The old brass doorknob rattled furiously. Then it stopped. A long scraping sound followed, like nails or claws dragging down the wood. I held my breath, heart pounding like a war drum. 3:05 a.m. The cheap overhead light dimmed again, and in the flickering gloom, the blanket over the mirror began to twitch. Something was moving behind it. I remembered the list. I tried to recall rule number 3. Never answer voices calling your name. As if on cue, a voice hissed through the door. Jason, Jason, open up. Please, it's me. But I didn't recognize it. Not my voice. Not anyone I knew. I backed away, pulse thundering in my ears. Then, a whisper came from inside the room by the bed. Jason. I spun around. Nothing there. But the lump under the bed shifted again. The edges of the mattress lifted ever so slightly. I squeezed my eyes shut. I mustn't look under the bed. Not ever. Suddenly, the phone, though I'd ripped the cord out, began to ring. The screen on my dead phone lit up at the same time. A text message. You shouldn't have come. Another one. Rule number 4. The shadows have eyes after 3 a.m. I glanced toward the darkest corner of the room, and there a pair of eyes. Gleaming yellow, unblinking. I stumbled backward, grabbing my flashlight, sweeping it through the room. Nothing. But I could feel them watching. Dozens of them. From inside the mirror, from beneath the bed, from the space behind the dresser. Then came the voice again. Jason, I'm lonely. The doorknob twisted one last time. Click. Unlocked. The door creaked open. A fraction. And a pale, wet hand slid through the gap. Part 4. Breaking the rule. The pale hand slid further into the room, bony, slick with something dark and viscous. I could hear the faint squelch of its knuckles bending as its fingers groped blindly for me. I should have kept my eyes shut. I should have ignored it. But instinct overrode reason. I screamed and swung the flashlight down, cracking it against the wrist. The hand recoiled with an inhuman screech, disappearing behind the door. But now, I'd done it. I'd broken rule number 4. I made eye contact. I acknowledged it. The phone buzzed again. You looked. Now it wears your face. What the hell did that mean? Then I heard it footsteps. Slow, deliberate, wet slaps against the hardwood floor. But they weren't coming from outside. They were behind me. In the mirror's reflection, something stepped out of the corner. It was me. Same clothes. Same terrified eyes. Same trembling hands. But its grin stretched unnaturally wide, teeth too sharp, too many. It tilted its head, mocking me, and then it whispered with my voice, "Jason, let's switch." I bolted for the hallway, heart hammering against my ribs. The house seemed endless now, the corridor stretching impossibly long. The air thickened, oppressive, like invisible hands squeezing my throat. I ran toward the faint glow of a nightlight far ahead. Then a thought hit me. What was rule number 5? I yanked out the list from my pocket, breath ragged. Do not leave before sunrise, no matter what you see. Shit. But I was already halfway down the stairs when the thing behind me laughed, a horrible, distorted mimicry of my voice. I reached the front door. My hands fumbled at the lock. A final text came through. "Too late, Jason." And the lights went out. Part 5. The final consequence. Darkness swallowed everything. The only sound was my frantic breathing and the relentless wet footsteps coming down the stairs behind me. I grabbed the lock again, but it wouldn't budge, as if the door itself had become part of the house, refusing to let me leave. Then, the grandfather clock in the hallway struck 3:33 a.m. A cold, deathly voice filled the house. Rule 6. The house chooses who stays. I turned. There it was. My double. Its eyes pitch black. Grin still stretching ear to ear, blood trickling from the corners of its mouth. It spoke in a chorus of voices, mine, my father's, my mother's, voices I'd long forgotten. "You broke every rule, Jason. Now you belong to us." I ran, not toward the door but up the stairs, because instinct told me there's always one place left. I burst into the attic. The old television sat there, static humming, and beside it, a figure in a hood, holding the phone. It lifted its head. Pale, eyeless sockets stared back at me. It spoke the final message aloud. "You were warned. Never watch alone. Never leave before dawn." I screamed, throwing the flashlight. Everything went black. When I woke up, it was daylight, but something was off. I stood, looking down at my own body lying motionless on the floor, and in the mirror's reflection my double grinned, waving. The phone buzzed one final time, another one for the house, and then it all faded away.
If you think you could survive a night at the Hollow Pines Motel, think again. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the bell icon, or you might be the next guest who never leaves. Drop your scariest motel story in the comments.